Now, Donald Trump's reaction is not, anger toward Flynn for withholding information from Mike Pence. It's more toward individuals in the White House who are leaking this information to media organizations like the Washington Post. In fact, he shared his concerns on Twitter, where he shares all of his concerns, and said the real story here is, why are there so many illegal leaks coming out of Washington? Will these leaks be happening as I deal on North Korea? Oh, deal on North Korea. Maybe. They probably will, because the leaks are rampant. They've definitely been amplified in this administration, and I don't know what they plan on doing, but apparently a White House aide told Politico last week that the administration has launched an investigation into the leaks coming out of Washington.
Okay, so here I actually empathize with them as a tiny bit, because they're leaking like a sieve, man. It is not normally in stories that come out in the papers, there'll be 2 or 3 sources cited. And you say, wow, that's pretty good. They did some research, got some real sources. In these stories in the New York Times and Politico and others, there are dozens of sources cited. That administration is Swiss cheese. Now, the part that I don't empathize with and why it exists in the first place is because Trump's a knucklehead. So the reason that everybody's leaking, part of the reason, is because there's so much infighting. And they think, okay, if I can sink Flynn, I move up. Mm-hmm. If I can sink that Spicer, I move up, right? So now a good leader puts an end to that by figuring out what the problem is and not rewarding that bad behavior. Now, what was Trump's reaction? According to more leaks, his reaction was, all right, I'm going to get everybody together and I'm going to tell them, quote, to cut this shit out. Oh, that'll do it. Look, if they think it's to their advantage, you going over there and then yelling at them isn't going to do a damn thing. What are the consequences? What's the culture that you're setting? But he's not thoughtful enough to figure that out.
The infighting doesn't even really surprise me, especially when you consider how many people working close to him now were against him during the election. Mm-hmm. Paul Ryan is an example. Betsy DeVos did not donate money to Donald Trump.
She donated a ton of money to the Republican Party, but
right.
not to Trump.
And I'm not saying these are the people who are leaking. I'm just saying that he has a collection of people around him who actually despised him in the beginning and then later on had no choice but to get on board because their careers depended on it. So I'm curious to see, how it plays out. But for a man who believes in loyalty, he is surrounded by people who previously didn't really like him much.
Well, and then there's 2 other factors on the leaks. To be fair to the Trump guys, the national security team is filled with apolitical people who are annoyed that Trump has made it political or simply oppose him. And so they're more motivated to leak. And then the third factor is that some of them are really scared to death that Trump and others are compromised. That Flynn was literally, this is what the Justice Department said, compromised by the Russians. So if you're working on the National Security Council and you've got a new boss that you think might be a Russian agent, you'd be a little motivated to leak that to the press to make sure that he doesn't give away all of our state secrets to Putin, the KGB, etc. Now, you could say, hey, that's overhyped, but it's not, because even Trump asked Flynn to resign because that's how bad it got. So there's many different reasons for the leaks. Of course, the person who's suffering the leaks is always frustrated. They always lash out. And by the way, again, more, to be fair, points, right, is that Obama hated leakers and pursued them with draconian measures, including prosecuting them under the Espionage Act. So Trump's not the first president to get mad about that. And also Hillary Clinton, remember, famously told Wall Street, hey, cut it out. And she also didn't mean it.
Right.
So more of these leaks will happen. 1, because people are genuinely concerned about Trump and his administration. And 2, because Trump doesn't know how to effectively stop it, because he is a horrible manager. Podcast The Young Turks anytime you want. TYTnetwork.com/join.
I think it's weird.
No, it's not weird. In fact, you'll think,
I'm like a smart person.
Do it now. TYTnetwork.com/join.